the Sanctuary of Light and the Light Institute welcome each and all of you to this time of knowings and ask you to bring forward the questions, the energies that come from your heart so that we can explore our purpose and the truth of our lives. So please, just begin. Yes?
I'm sorry. Could you talk about the theme of diabetes and if there's a difference in thematically with children who acquire it and adults?
That's a fascinating conversation. And I would say yes, there is. Basically, the theme of diabetes or hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia, whatever that is, it has to do with the spleen not putting out the right hormones to balance the sugar and the energies in the body, envelops, because sugar represents energy, which represents love and life force, the confusion over being in life, not being in life, giving, receiving. So it's about love. And the thing that I've noticed over all these years about diabetes, whatever kind of diabetes it is that it is a family disease. Western medicine would say, if one or two people in your family have type 2 diabetes, which usually comes on adult onset diabetes, that you are very prone to getting it. I would say you are prone to getting it because look back at the conversation of giving and receiving love in your family. Now, diabetes is, up until now, by the Western medical profession, said to be incurable. Incurable. We can manage type 2 or adult diabetes, but it cannot be cured. However, there are many new things that have been proven now to actually cure diabetes. But that all comes from alternative medicine, comes from the East. There are many different kinds of herbs that rebalance, and not only will rebalance or manage the blood sugar levels in your body, but will actually stimulate the endocrine gland to produce what needs to be produced. The difference between a child coming in with diabetes, and sometimes they come in when they're babies, still babies. Again, I would say that the theme is simply ripples over into the parents. The parents' conversation of giving and receiving love, the parents' conversation about wanting to have a child, being able to nourish a child. I can remember one family whose child developed diabetes as a baby. The mother nursed the baby, but otherwise the mother never picked up the baby, hardly touched the baby. So she could give the breast milk, but she did not want to do the whole conversation of giving and receiving love. And it was a marriage that had a lot of stress, and the baby, about 9 months old, developed type 1 diabetes, which is very, very difficult for babies and for children. But again, and the difficulty with that is that we are so ingrained that this is an incurable disease that I found that families that have diabetes within their group, within their soul group, they don't really even explore the possibilities. They simply say this is something we have to live with. And then of course, because a person with diabetes demands or necessitates a tremendous amount of help from family, whether it's injections for children or just the whole lifestyle demands a lot of paying attention in the family. So paying attention also relates to lack of love or love. Now, what's very interesting is that diabetes has become one of the major diseases in America over the last 20 years. It just suddenly popped out. We could say all those Coca-Colas added up to something. All of the sugar, etc., etc. But we could also say, let us look at it from a spiritual perspective. How is our capacity to give love without buying and selling. We Americans are great buyers and sellers. You know, if we do a favor for someone, I've got it right down here, I'm scoring that in my book, and you need to give it back to me. So we have, as a theme, an opportunity to look at something that manifests itself within the physical body, within the pancreas, for example, that in manifesting such a way opens for us these conversations if we were aware of it. Could we go back and look at the memories that we have of giving and receiving love? What did we learn from our parents or our grandparents about giving and receiving love? In so many cultures, and certainly in the North American culture, I would say probably in all cultures, when the second baby comes along, the family and friends begin to say, oh well, now you're pushed out. Now this one takes your place. So we inbreed within our cultures and a sense of not being chosen, of not being worthy, of not getting our share, of somebody taking it away from us. All these conversations will ripple out in your life, and they will manifest themselves physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So diabetes really allows humanity at this time of wars, of mine against yours, whatever it is, not sharing, them and us, it's really a perfect disease in terms of the soul saying, could you please take a look at this and change it? So I would say, there are many exercises in consciousness that we could do that would relate to that. One might be, where am I holding the power of love in my body at any time? If you did that 2 or 3 times a day, your whole auric field would begin to exude love. Everyone around you, whether they knew you or didn't know you, would begin to be attracted to you. And so in that way, you could become an instrument of healing the negativity and the loneliness and the I didn't get mine or somebody hurt me conversation. On a physical level, I would say all people who have any kind of sugar wobble would want to pay attention to all of their endocrines, because they all weave just like the like all of the chakras are moving in and out of each other to the pancreas area. The pancreas and the liver, it's interesting. The adrenals, which are about fight or flight, about being afraid, they feed into the pancreas, which feeds into the liver. The liver is where it stores the excess energy in the body. And so those 3 organs set the power of our energy, set the sense that we have of reaching out or even allowing ourselves to receive. For many people, the problem is not receiving. The problem is, or not giving, the problem is receiving. Because we have tapes that say, well, if I enjoy it, somebody's going to take it away from me, or I don't really deserve it, or I never learned about this. So we will now do this exercise. The pancreas sits pretty much a little bit to the left of the stomach, but the trigger points to the pancreas are right under the rib cage, right at the center of it. And so you can push in there and hold it a little bit and release it. And that's going to stimulate that energy. But then what we want to do is put our hands very, very softly over the stomach area and think about this pancreas. It controls our sugar, it controls our energy, controls our giving and receiving of love. So just even if you don't know what it looks like, just imagine your own pancreas, this fabulous endocrine organ. It's not an endocrine gland, it's an endocrine organ. And ask your pancreas what frequency of light, what color it needs to come into perfect physiological balance, so that it balances everything that needs to be balanced in terms of the energy, the sugar in the body, the insulin, which is what balances that sugar. What color does it need? As soon as you get a color, begin to suck it in to your pancreas. Breathe deeply and just imagine that you're pulling this unending green or red or yellow or white or whatever color comes to you or colors into your pancreas. As if you were feeding it so that it has everything it needs to be in perfect balance. A little bit more, and as you feel that, you might feel a little flutter or a swelling out. It's so amazing that we can actually feel our body responding to light because our bodies are made of light. And take a deep breath in your eyes. So, again, the challenge and the opportunity and the gift to all of us is to really contemplate how humans can open the threshold of love. Thank you.
Would you talk about Valentine's Day, please?
I've been traveling, I just returned home, and of course, every store, every place is covered with Valentine's, Be My Valentine. So we've learned to make it a commercial adventure. On the other hand, feeding right into love. You know, I would say, just release yourself from, oh, this is just a commercial thing, and allow it to be a focal point. Okay, the 14th of February is a day we celebrate Saint Valentine's Day, and it's the day that we say, Be My Valentine. Now, probably many of you, as certainly I do, have fairly negative memories, or would have if I were holding it on my body, about Valentine's Day when you were in school. Because everyone brought Valentines, and then some kids got lots of Valentines, and some kids got very few Valentines, you know. So there was that taste in the mouth of Valentine's Day, which caused that little flutter in the stomach to say, will I be chosen? And do we not have this in our cultures as well? The residues of this. Will somebody love me? Every business, every place, office that you work is going to do some kind of playing on Valentine's Day. The way out of the dilemma. And as I was driving here tonight, as I always do, I send you all color, and then I kind of ask, what's the message to be given? And the message that I got tonight, or the words that I got, was, there is a way out. And so how I would plug that into Valentine's Day is, the way out of feeling, oh my gosh, here I am alone in the world, I don't have a lover, I don't have a husband or wife, I don't have a dog, or whatever it is to be my Valentine, is to focus on the power of the giver. How could you make everyone around you know that you honor them and that you love them? Love is easy. There are many kinds of love. And so we can broaden the perspective of Valentine's Day to just say, it has to do with the love, whether that's intellectual love, or creative love, or friendship love, or mentor love, whatever kind of love it is, to say, I use Valentine's Day, just as we do Christmas, or other holidays, or Easter, or any of the other many holidays from other cultures, as an opportunity to be the giver, to give presents, to say, I acknowledge you. And so what I would say is, it's pretty, it's red, it gives us lots of life force energy. I mean, how many of you ever dare to wear red? We should wear red more often. Red is a wonderful color of life force energy. I've just come back from a nursing home and, well, assisted living and a memory care place. And so I realized there, it's very important to whatever color you wear, make it bright, make it clear, shock the world, because it gives the life force energy. Red is the best color for that. And so Valentine's Day is an opportunity to, on one hand, if you have sad memories, or if it does say, well, here I am, and it's Valentine's Day and I don't have a lover, release that. Release that, because as long as you're going through that repertoire inside you, I don't have a lover, well, guess what? You're never going to bring one, because your emotional body's having much more fun feeding on, I don't have a lover. rather than, I am the lover. I am the lover. And how do you play that out in your life with yourself and with all the people around you? Because, yes, I certainly do agree that having relationships, whatever kind you have, are important as part of our opportunity for growth, for evolution as humans at this time. Again, whether it's the love of a mentor, the love of an idea, the love of a sexual partner, whatever it is, you and the other is important. But you and the other could be you and the dog, you and all your friends, you and the people across the world. It's simply saying, I am connected. Because I think the I don't have a lover really is more about I might not be chosen, the primordial thing, which is all about reproduction. So certainly we don't need that. But it's also about, do I belong? Do I belong? Yes, you belong. Each and all of us belong. Each and all of us have 5,000, or if you've had 2 or 3 lovers in your life, go ahead and count those out. You still have more than 4,000 for sure. Lovers waiting for you who will give you the perfect lessons. Aha, therein lies the rub. What are the lessons that we don't want to learn, or the lessons that we need to learn? If we focus our consciousness on, for example, positive lessons. If I had a lover, would I be able to be free of jealousy or comparison or competition or fear of loss? What are the things that would come in there? How do I clear them out? That's why at the Light Institute here we do, with others, with Navji, we do exercises in consciousness to pinpoint what are the memories, what are the conclusions you have that are actually in your way from saying, it's Valentine's Day, oh boy, oh boy. You can always buy yourself some chocolate, you know. I figured out a long time ago that Valentine's Day is a great day to buy myself flowers, buy myself chocolate, and believe you me, my stomach doesn't make a difference between who gave it to me at all. It simply is, yes, this is one day out of the year you may have a delicious dark piece of chocolate. So we must learn to find humor and to play with ourselves, and not to criticize those that are making money off it, because in fact, any way they can make money, I support them. And if I buy the Valentine, well, then I am contributing to the economy. And I don't have to think of it as something negative because they're making a big to-do about it. Because after all, it reminds me to look inside and say, who are my lovers? Well, let me say to each and all of you, you are all my lovers. You are all my lovers, because love-making is much more than a sexual act. It's an energy exchange. It's an energy output that's there, that caresses. And having worked on hundreds and hundreds of women and men and couples over the last 55 years of doing this work, I've discovered that most people, it's really not so much about, will somebody make love to me, as it is about belonging, coming close to each other. And there's so many ways to do that. The world needs more hugs. It was very funny because they did lots of decorations at this assisted living home. And they had a bunch of squares, red and white squares, and it said HU at the top, HGUS. And I couldn't figure out what it was, and it took me the longest time to realize it was saying hugs. So immediately I thought, well, if I can't see that they're saying hugs just because it's in a square instead of, horizontal, I must need to give more hugs. There must be more hugs in my life. So, Valentine's Day is a gift. Make it fun for yourself. Don't let yourself be sad. If you're holding any negative memories, clear them out of your body. Where am I holding that memory? What color does it need? Or imagine all the people in the world, the millions of people in the world who have no Valentines. Everybody close your eyes. Take a deep breath into your body. Ask the world to show you all the people who are longing, who have awareness of Valentine's Day, who are longing to have a Valentine's, to not be alone on Valentine's evening. Now ask them all, what frequency of light, what color they need from you to feel the love, to feel happy, to know that they belong, even if they're sitting home watching a movie. What color do they need from you? And then draw that color from the cosmos down through the top of your head, extend it out through your solar plexus to them, and just feel as if you're extending this energy out. Extend it out so that all of them are encased and embraced and fed that color. And open your eyes. How many of you got red? Any of you get red? None of you got red? Only I got red. I was thinking as I did that. I think that's very funny. And that we know that chocolate has a chemical in it. That's why they give it at Valentine's Day. That stimulates neurotransmitters in the brain that make us feel loved. That's why people crave chocolate. Besides the fact that they may not have enough B vitamins in their intestines, which is another physiological reason that we crave chocolate. And red has the same connotation. It means sexuality. It means lovers. It means passion. It means visibility. Because if you have a lover, then you have to relate one way or another. So that's what I would say about St. Valentine's Day. Use it, don't have it use you. If you have a significant other, do something fun. Do something fun together. Express that love, play around. Make it something that fills you up and that you become the template to fill up other people. It's so wonderful when we realize that we have something to give, that we can make somebody smile as easy as a Valentine's card or a phone call or a text or a piece of chocolate or however you do it. You are important to me. I love you. More of that juice. More of that juice in the world. Yes.
How can you help someone to open up their heart when they've closed it for a very long time?
The tricky part is if you're involved. If you're wanting to help somebody open their heart, meaning to you, that's very different than helping somebody to open their hearts. You as a facilitator would know many ways to help them open their hearts. You as a potential lover, that's a different conversation in a way, simply because you're front and center there, and so you become the thing they project upon. If someone has a closed heart in terms of relationship or love, it always means that they've been hurt and that their conclusions are, I can't risk this, you'll hurt me. Spiritually, I would like the whole world to know there is no one out there that can hurt you. There's no one out there that can be your undoing. And that, like clearing our parents or choosing our parents, we choose our lovers in these same realms. And so there are two aspects. One would be helping the person to let go of their fears. I don't think anyone can say, don't be afraid, I'll never leave you, because you have no idea what will happen in the future. But you could let them talk about or go back into the memories and when they've been hurt and help them to release those in the way that we do with exercises in consciousness. You could also be very careful and clear right from the beginning to discuss what are the gestures of love that they make or that they are afraid of, what they project onto you. Right at the beginning, you want to be able to say, there is this famous word called projection. And whenever we've had experiences, our emotional body continues to repeat them. I'm not game to have it repeated on me. So if you and I are going to get together, then look at it as an adventure, because I don't want to play back for you whatever you've experienced before. And that is a part of my willingness to extend or to share with you. So that's one part of that. Another part of that is to ask yourself, why am I picking someone who has not opened their heart? One aspect of that is, where do I guard my heart? Because there are different levels of closed hearts. You know, there's a heart that's closed but will open if given enough cookies, or etc. You know, there are many levels of that. There are many conditions. Well, I will do it if you do this or you do that. And you want to become aware of all of those. So you may not have a closed heart, but you may have a guarded heart. And the guarded heart, it easily attracts someone who has a closed heart, because you are sharing something in common. They just have it too deeply rooted than you do. So what I would say is, are you willing, are you brave enough to open your heart, being conscious of the possibility that the other person may be going yes, no, and in the end may not be able to do it. But that, as my higher self says again and again, the only thing that matters is the grace with which you live your life. What does that mean? That means love well. Love well, and see what you get out of it. What is it that is your need in a relationship with that? Will you take a small amount of sexual connection, or maybe it's acknowledgement? What is it that you are looking for in that relationship? Be aware of that. And as you're aware of that, it'll help you to open up and to, again, allow the energy to flow back and forth much more easily. But I know that people will shake their heads and say, this can't be true, that no one could really hurt you. But if you saw it from a spiritual perspective, and attached to that, in terms of attracting someone who has a closed heart, spiritually might be, I'm attracting someone I owe something to. So I really owe them. I must have hurt them in another lifetime. So we would, of course, at the Light Institute say, come and clear them. Look at the lifetimes, the incarnations that you have had with them and with that theme, so that you can rebalance that. Not just look at the negative aspect, but look at the positive aspect of that. For example, looking at a lifetime that you shared in which the love was perfect. But this concept has done more for me emotionally than almost any other, which is if someone has a closed heart and they won't let me in, or they're going yes, no, if I can open my heart and give all that I can give, then I will be free. And another thing that's hard to recognize, but which is true about the emotional body, is that it will not go on to the next until you've cleared this part. And that's why we keep finding lovers that have closed hearts, because we're still going around the same octave that we were before. If you suddenly open up and give your best and then feel the pride, if you think, as we say when we are marrying people as the ministers, I always say, ask yourself, how can I love you better? And think of that each day. How can I love this person better? And find how delicious it is to love well, to contemplate what will make life easier for them, what will make them laugh above all, what will make them laugh, what can you do without feeling that you're subservient, not asking. Because the moment you say, what can I do to make you happy, you put yourself in a very bad position. Because we do look at totem pole relationships. So you don't want to say that, but you might want to do that in ways that, again, you're not saying, well, say thank you. But that, and women especially, are wonderfully creative at that. We're very good at expediency. We're very good at orchestration. So you can even do things that make somebody feel safer without them even knowing that you did it. So all of these are possibilities in terms of love. And to, above all, let go of this person has a closed heart. As long as you hold that, they will never open their heart. So look between the bits and pieces and find the flash when the person has opened their heart, and applaud that. It's pretty much like training dogs or anything else. Or children. You applaud, you reinforce that which supports an energy or behavior that serves them and you. What else?
Can you talk about the friendship?
The friendship?
Yes.
With a man, you mean? Or with
No,
anyone?
in general.
In general. I think friendship is perhaps one of the most important lessons that we have in life. And to take it to the next octave. Because the octave upon which we base friendship today, for most people, is you and I against the world. You and I agree. So if you're my friend, you're going to take my side even when I might be wrong. You're going to make me feel safe. You're going to fill in the gaps. You're going to make me feel not alone, feel that I belong. And all of those capacities to make somebody feel that they belong, to fill the gaps, to support them, are wonderful qualities of a friend. More important than that is to take it to the higher octave, which says, you are my soul friend. My soul friend becomes my teacher, becomes my student, becomes my lover, allows me to be me. The essential core of friendship is the freedom to be ourselves, the freedom to allow another person to be themselves. And not to say, well, you did that or you said that, therefore I'm mad at you and we're not friends anymore. But to really allow someone, whether it's their anger or their confusion or their even some negative trait that they might have or that they might represent, to do that and to always look at a friend, as we say at the Line Institute, to pierce the heart, to look for the beauty in their heart, to look for the part of them that can overcome their fear or their negativity or any of those things. To see that in another person is what is a true friend. And again, to allow them all of that. To allow them all of their little falling off their pedestals, and at the same time to show them the mirror. Look how wonderful you are. Not just because you're right and they're wrong, but because you have a good heart. And look what you did there, and look how you said that, and etc., etc., etc. So that you remind them of the parts of them that make them powerful enough to be your friend or to be someone else's friend. So, friendship is very, very important. And I think in terms of lovers, if a lover is not also a friend, there's no hope for that relationship. We must give freedom to another. We must support them. We must seek to know them on all levels of their being without judging them. And so friendship and lovers need to be together to create something that can nourish and help us to evolve. Because all relationship to other people is about the evolution of the soul. And of course, as we say at the Light Institute, very often it's the one that you think hurts you that is your soul friend. That takes you from one place to another, that illuminates something that needs to be illuminated, that you cannot fool. As we would say, your honorable opponent. So many times our soul friends are the ones who have made a contract or vow with us that says, I will show you what it feels like on the other side. Therefore, don't spend your life saying, well, this person did this to me and this person did that to me. But say, thank you. I think every one of us could look back on some relationship and say, thank heavens that it didn't last, or that I went on, or that whatever. Because we see later, usually in hindsight, how that would play out. Because we do not choose friends or lovers without the illumination of the soul. So the soul will say, you need to learn this lesson. You know, choose this guy and you'll get your nose rubbed in it, then you'll get it. It's not a very good way to learn things, but we do that. And so we want to, again, learn to emotionally, to come into a place of wisdom that allows us to not project on someone. to not say, as all the great psychologists have pointed out, about we will have relationships typically with our boyfriends that we had with our fathers, or we saw our mothers and fathers have, or that we have with our children. Typically it travels down. Always it will relate to other lifetimes, always. So friendship is exquisite, but we need to honor our friends in new ways, to see them, and to know that, for example, who they are is changing all the time. And so we may say, yeah, you and I agree about this, and then 2 days later, you and I may not agree about the other thing, but we can still allow it. We can still allow it. The only reason we don't allow it, the only reason we get into fights, is because we are defending our illusion of who we are. And we're saying, if that person doesn't agree with me, I am vulnerable. If I don't win this argument, or if I don't have an accomplice, then I could die emotionally. These things are not true. They're just old genetic patterns.
So would you say that everyone could be our friend?
Everyone is our friend, especially our enemies. I would. And again, just as I was talking about with all relationships, with lovers, ask yourself, what is it that you want from this friend? I have friends on every level. The ones that I would just totally violently disagree with about the way life should be, and they're still my friend. So I don't need them to agree with me. So we can look at someone and look at their qualities and say, I can be their friend, even if in this whole segment of your personality you can't agree, or you can't come together. And of course that's the exercise. How can you get past? Where is the way out? How is the way out? There is a way out. And it just depends, again, as does everything in life, how we look at ourselves. What is it that you really want from that person? With some people, it might be you admire their intelligence. With some people, you can share the conversations of emotional experiences. There are infinite kinds of friends. We don't have to have each friend be everything for us. But it would be wonderful if we could be everything for a friend, so to speak. In other words, if we can get past what they do, what they say, what they look like, what the world they live in, and find them as soul friends. There is no one that you have ever met who is not a soul friend, that's for sure. Anyone you've seen on the street, you know from infinite lifetimes. When we begin to contemplate that, it makes the world look very different. Thank you. What else?
I just read something about the whales and the dolphins and the sonars that the military is using, and how disruptive it is to the whales and the dolphins, and sea animals in general, but especially the whales and the dolphins who sonar. What would you do to fix that?
That's exactly what I mean by what is the way out, because it seems an impossibility. How are you going to get military people not to do that? Because not only are they feeling that the whales and the dolphins are irrelevant to what they could discover in terms of weapons and power, they're not in their sonar, their own sonar of consciousness. So what I would say is that we want to amplify that connection to them, between a military person, a person of power, and a dolphin or a whale. I've spoken to, I was talking to someone just recently who was part of the Navy in the experiments of getting dolphins to take bombs to enemy submarines. And it was very interesting to discuss that conversation with him, and to say, of course, they spent millions of dollars on it and they never could get the dolphins to do it, because the dolphins are smarter than we are. during that, being an underwater person himself, he learned to relate to the dolphins in a different way. So I would say educating the consciousness, flooding the media with opportunities. Very soon at the end of this month, we are going to go down to Baja California. If any of you want to join us and have an intensive and be with the gray whales. And once you have touched physically or been touched psychically by a wild animal, your life has changed. It changes your sense of self. It changes your reality. People often say zoos are terrible. To keep dolphins in caged areas is terrible. Yet when I have spoken to the spirit of those animals, they have said, we are here to help humans to learn to love us. Isn't it amazing that humans are just about the only ones in the world who precognate their deaths, who spend their lives worrying about their dying? Animals don't do that. And so I would say that one way out is to recognize that, like never before, groups have power. Groups have power. We can influence the powers that be, military organizations, to not do that, to use their goals, to find different answers to their goals. That will not be destructive to life. It's the same thing, the same way we work when we're doing incarnational work, when we're connecting to someone who's been a killer or a rapist or some terrible bad guy. And we always go back to their childhood and look at what have they been taught. They have not been taught to love. They have been taught to survive above all else. They have been taught to put the power of their anger and their hurt onto somebody else and enjoy that. And so what I would say is that the more that military can simply be a different kind of consciousness, not brewed by that kind of subterfuge, emotional subterfuge, maybe a little child who enjoyed killing birds because it made him feel powerful. And what's he doing now? Doing something else. So our perspective on that is not to blame the person or to excuse the person, but to simply see, that's the story. How can you influence that to go on? Our stories don't stop someplace. We just keep repeating our experiences. And so we, individually and collectively, can be a part of taking that story to the next level. And the next level would be when someone could have an experience of relationship to the consciousness of those beings. All things are possible. All things can be changed, and they will be. Meanwhile, we can send light to the people that are doing that, and we can send light to the animals whose sonar is being disturbed. It's possible that through consciousness, we could actually block the sonar. All things are possible.
I like that.
What else?
Lately, when I ask my higher self to take form, usually I kind of tend to go up there, and lately I have these images that really come from down there. And I was wondering whether you could talk about this habit that we have, that we think we have to go up there to the higher...
It's spiritual. It's a spiritual symbolism. And it doesn't include the holy ground. Down there can be as high as up there. It just depends on which way you're looking. It doesn't matter where the higher self comes from. It doesn't matter if you see it coming from above or you see it coming from below. What's important is that the body that it chooses, the form that it chooses, will enlighten you as to what energies you need at the moment or what energies you have at the moment. And that's what stimulates your life. So, I would say the opposite thing. One of the things that I spoke about in the Evolution of God book is how it has always, since I was a little child, bothered me that people bow their heads. Symbolically, people bow their heads as if they were going to be beaten on the top of the head, because guilt and punishment are this gesture. I'm ashamed of myself, you know. And so I say in that book, look up, you know. But I agree with you. It doesn't matter which direction you're looking in. It matters what you're holding in your consciousness. So if we look down when we prayed, but we felt that we were absolutely perfect and pure and divine and miraculous and spiritual, that would be wonderful. But ingrained in our psychogenetic imprints of our bodies through thousands of years, thousands and thousands and thousands of years, are bow your head and you will be punished because you deserve to be. So, you know, if you're looking down, as long as you're just looking down to the earth, you're just looking down, it matters not. It's wonderful. It doesn't matter where your higher self is coming from. But if you're focusing on this theme, then it may be that looking down has something for you. So you want to clear away from yourself the thought forms or conclusions about what's up and what's down. You know, that hell or purgatory is down there. No, your higher self could be down there. Through the earth, through the cosmos, through the bottom of the sea, it's irrelevant. It's simply the energy that you hold, as you call forth to you the intuitive essence of your soul, the higher self. And of course we say higher self simply because that was the language 50 years ago. We could call our inner self, we could call it many things. I'm still inspired by higher self. I don't think of it as higher than lower. I think of it as higher. And for me, the spin of evolution is the spiraling up into the cosmos, because the cosmos is what seeded Earth. You know? You could spiral into the center of the Earth as well. But I like the concept of spiraling up. And so that for me, higher. Now higher doesn't have to be physically up. It could be higher in consciousness, higher in pitch, higher in illumination, higher in light. You could play it any way. And so what I would say to all people is play your lives from the highest and the most joyous place you can. Choose that. Choose it. We need more laughter.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What else?
I took a fall the other day and a couple of days ago, and it was so hard. I mean, it was just such a hard hit, and the opposite. It was on my head, and the opposite side of my head, the bone, the exact same place on the other side of my head is what hurt. The place that I hit hurt too. And you said, Allison, and you used a word. Would you talk about that? I can't remember.
What was the word?
It was like trends something, or
I don't know, but I can say that the way the brain functions is that, for example, if you were hit on your left temple here, that would come from your right brain. Your right brain would respond. And so there's this crossover that occurs. People have this is very common. You have arthritis in one side, and then it goes to the other side. So the body will compensate for that. We learned that in it's one of the basic 101s of healing. You know, if let's say that again you hit your head on the left side, we would probably go and touch the right side, because the right side is going to send the messages into the center of the brain to say, oh, I'm hurt. So what you want to know is that you are crossing over in all ways, and you can use this. So for example, if you hurt your left side and your left side is hurting, but you might be more successful at healing your left side by going to your right side and saying, oh, what color do you need to come into perfect balance? Another aspect is if you push in, let's say you fall on your knee or you fall on your head, you push in, everything is going to move to the other side, and the pressure on the other side might trigger, again, a whole rippling out of nerve plexus, of nerve ganglions that are sending messages about what's true. The fascinating thing to me is that the body is a miracle. And so what seems like it could not be true can be true. You know, the body will compensate. So what you want to do with that is to thank your body for compensating. Because probably if your right side of your head began to hurt, it probably took your attention off the left side, or it made the hurt in the left side less. The same that we would do for someone we loved. It's really interesting. I knew a man recently who broke his left hand, and almost within days he got terrible arthritis in his right hand. That was his right hand compensating his left hand. That was that crossover that's there. And so I said to him, well, give love to your right hand, thank it for taking the brunt for your left hand, because that's what the hand was doing. The right side of the body took the brunt for the left side of the body, but they were communicating. They were communicating. So the most important thing is to say to all parts of the body, okay, now we can let this pain go. In the same way we can walk over fire, the same way that you took a hard fall but nothing broke. You know, the body is miraculous, and we want to keep encouraging it. Good. I use that thing a lot because, and I must say that probably one of the reasons you fail is you weren't really in your body. You weren't in your body. Your mind was going, oh, this fits with that, and this is happening, and you were categorizing or cataloging what was happening wherever you were, and you were in your mind. You were not in your body, and so. Jumping on your trampoline, of course, helps you to get in your body. Anything that helps you to get into your body is a very important practice for all of us, so that the body doesn't have to carry the brunt of our emotions or our minds or other aspects, other bodies that we carry. And by paying attention, by getting in the body, by getting physically in the body, you actually allow your body to perform miracles for you. You know, so for example, when I find myself being a little wobbly, not having good balance, I immediately will imagine how it was for me as a child. You could fall down, you could roll around, you could get tipsy, and nothing bothered you. So I keep playing that record to my body. Oh, look at you, you're just a little kid, you know? You just made a ripper. And this is helpful to your body.
Well, you know, Chris, that's the way it felt. I mean, it felt like, you know, it was a thing. I mean, it was really one of those where you were just, it could have been, but my body just went, okay, this is bad, but I'm going to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And it felt like such a point of illumination.
Yeah, the point of illumination is you were not in your body.
Yeah.
That's the point of illumination.
Yeah.
Whenever we hurt our bodies, we're not in them.
Well, what I was going to say is it felt like a point of illumination of you need to get in the body.
Exactly.
And you need to be paying attention to that. But we're not going to make a thing out of it this time. You know, and it hurts.
I'll always make a thing out of, yes, here's the illumination, turn the corner. Just like you did. Okay. This has happened now. What color do you need, body? Okay, you're fine, body. Everything's okay. And then I always say, I'm so sorry, body.
Yeah,
because
definitely did that.
I feel, you know, this is this vehicle, this conscious vehicle, this person that is allowing me to live this incarnation. And that's why I'm saying, if you hurt your body, you're not in it.
Mm-hmm. Is that what happens with all accidents? All accidents?
All accidents.
No matter what it is,
no matter what,
you're not in your body.
You're not in your body.
Okay.
Absolutely. You're off someplace. And most of us are off in our minds. And most of us are off in the next thing. So you were leaving a room or you were moving. And so in that moving, you were already mentally, again, cataloging and going on to the next thing. Now I'm going out of the room, now I'm doing this. Instead of being in your body. This is true of all of us. And part of that's true because we haven't really learned how to use our bodies. We feel the pain. Not enough pleasure, not enough good juice, not enough deliciousness, not enough good feelings in the body. We don't notice the good feelings because we don't notice when our heart's beating perfectly. We notice when our heart's not beating perfectly. But we don't know how to be aware of the body in perfect balance. So we have to learn how to do that.
So what would you say about people who hurt themselves repeatedly? You know, who are that you would call accident prone? What would you
Accident prone people, I would say two things. First is, again, they're never in their body. You know, they're not paying attention. They're in the future, they're in the past. They're somewhere outside of their body. On a spiritual level, there may be some, I'm not saying this is always true, but there may be a correlation there to feeling that they deserve to be hurt, or that they're going to be hurt, or they're replaying. You know, sometimes it's an emotional thing. When you're little, you're hurt, you get special attention. So you think, okay. I've seen a lot of people who will have the slightest thing, we call it hypochondriacs. The slightest little thing wrong and they'll go to the doctor. Why do they do that? Because they get 2 seconds. They get a cold stethoscope on their chest. They get someone talking to them. And they're that lonely. So we hurt ourselves because we have no self. And so, again, just like hurting the body, we need to build a peaceful sense of self, a happy, spiritual, emotional, physical, sexual, mental sense of self. And when we do that, when you're happy, you don't bump into something. You don't get on an accident.
Bang.
So, my hope is that each of us will stand up from this room, from this session, and really say to our bodies, I love you. You are my Valentine. You are my juicy partner, because our bodies are our partners. And go out into the world and walk inside your body, from your inside out. And as you do that, as you radiate out, you will change the reality of the people that come towards you and life as you know it. My great love.